Folks, you know, being asked to introduce someone who genuinely and literally needs no introduction, you know who this man is. In the time that he was Prime Minister, he did more good for this country than every single Tory government put together. He is, without a shadow of a doubt, the most substantive, most important, most intellectually coherent Scottish politician. Miles and head and shoulders above any other Scottish politician of his generation or of previous generations. It was a huge honour to serve him as a minister in the last Labour government. He is such a huge asset to the party at a UK level and particularly here in Scotland. I am so delighted you're here, Gordon. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades, friends, Gordon Brown.
Thank you very much. I'm really so pleased to be here to thank you for the work you're doing, the dedication you're showing, the commitment that's there, the service you're giving and the difference you're making. And you know what we want. We want Tom Harris re-elected as a Member of Parliament for this constituency. And Tom is a great guy. He takes the cause of Glasgow into Westminster. He speaks up for the needs of this area. He has never let you down. He has been a great minister, he is a great MP, and he stands ready to give more service to this constituency if you elect him. Now, I was first elected in 1983 as a Member of Parliament, and I put in my election manifesto, this constituency needs a Member of Parliament of youth and fresh ideas. And then, in 2010, what did I say? What did I say? This constituency needs a Member of Parliament of maturity. But in Tom, you've got youth, fresh ideas, maturity, and experience. And that's why you should re-elect him as your Member of Parliament. I've been going around the country, and it's amazing because while the television cameras and the television programs and the media, they're talking only about deals and coalitions and bargains and negotiations and inside talk about hung parliaments and this. And I've been talking, as I hope you have been talking, and I know you've been talking, about poverty, unemployment, housing, the neglect of the health service, the need for opportunities for young people, and a better future for the people of this country. And we've got to get across in the next few days, we will not have 5 more years of austerity. We will not have 5 more years of food banks. We will not have 5 more years of payday lenders. We'll not have 5 more years of the bedroom tax. And we're not going to have 5 more years of the neglect of the National Health Service. Now, we have a duty to get that message across. Because the issue is, it's a Labour government or it's a Tory government. And if you vote Labour, you'll get a Labour government. If you vote for anybody else, you've got no guarantee of anything. And we must show that the only vote that will get a Labour government is a Labour vote. Now, there are 3 issues that I've been talking about to people around this country. One is youth unemployment and unemployment and employment needs. There are still 29,000 young people under 19 out of work in Scotland. And there are 59,000, the population of my town, Kirkcaldy, young people. If you take them all from all of Scotland, they fill a whole town. And the SNP have forgotten about them. They're not mentioned. The Tories do nothing. And that's why what Jim Murphy has said, we'll use a banker's bonus tax to pay for the money that will get young people back to work and will create jobs. And we've got to tell people we could make a difference on day 1 of a Labour government instead of having months of negotiations with the SNP or anybody else. And the second issue that I think is really important is food banks and poverty. And we've got to tell people, the SNP have been in power for 8 years. The Tories have been in power for 5 years. And food banks have gone up 2,000%. We've got to be angry and tell people we've got to do something about that. And again, Jim Murphy has got a plan for an anti-poverty fund. He's going to give money the first day of a Labour government to help the food banks in this area and in other areas. And we could end food bank poverty in this country if we had a Labour government. So we have got a duty over these next few days to get that message across. And you know the third issue, the National Health Service. I get very angry about what's happening. You know, in Grangemouth, there is a GP surgery where there are only 2 doctors for 10,000 patients. And that's just the tip of the iceberg with the Scottish National Party. In my constituency, there are 40 consultants short. We've just seen the accident and emergency figures. They're going up in Scotland. The SNP are spending less on the health service, 1% less than in 2010. And we've got to get this message across. Who do you trust on the National Health Service? Is it the people who built the health service and the people who created the health service with the money in 1948 And then the people who actually revived the health service after 1997, 100,000 more doctors and nurses, and of course new hospitals, waiting times, accident and emergency, cancer guarantees, or is it the SNP who are cutting the health service budget at the moment and who will continue to do so because they've got other priorities. And this is the difference. We wake up in the morning thinking about how we can create social justice. They wake up in the morning thinking how they can get independence. We have a dream that we can do something about poverty. They have a dream that they want a second referendum. And we've got to get the message across. If you want action on youth unemployment, if you want action on jobs, if you want action on the health service, and if you want action on the poverty that exists in our country, the only way is a Labour government. And it just comes down to this. The reason we all joined the Labour Party or are helping the Labour Party, we do feel the pain and suffering of others. We do believe in something bigger than ourselves. We can't be happy when so many people are sad. We can't be at ease when millions are ill at ease. We can't be in comfort when there are so many people who lack comforts in our society. And that's really what the Labour Party is all about. I'll just end you with a story. I had the great fortune to meet Nelson Mandela and to spend a huge amount of time with him. And he told me he had achieved one goal, which was to end apartheid. But he had another goal, that he wanted another mountain to climb, as he called it, and that was to end poverty. And that was his mission, and that's what drove him forward. And you know, I went to, he came to London for a dinner to celebrate his 90th birthday. And we wanted to raise money for the Nelson Mandela Foundation. So we had a raffle for a letter he'd written to children. And so we got all these people in, all Bill Clinton was there, and all these Forrest Whitaker, Will Smith. And then we had this auction, and it came down to Elton John versus Oprah Winfrey. And so Elton John bid 900,000 for this. 900,000. Oprah Winfrey, 950,000. Elton John, $1 million. And then Oprah won it at 1.1 million, and then she was told she was paying in pounds and not dollars. and then we went to meet Amy Winehouse, the late Amy Winehouse, right? And she was performing, and she was doing her songs. And she comes up to Nelson Mandela and is introduced to him, and she comes and shakes his hand. And she said, "Mr. Mandela," I said, "you and my husband have a great deal in common." And he said, "Oh, what?" He said, "Yes, both of you have spent a huge amount of time in prison." He told us that what politics is about is giving people hope about the future. Yeah. And you are in a position to go out there. It's only a week and a day to go. You can make a difference. I know in my own constituency, and I'm a volunteer now. I'm not a candidate. And I know my own constituency. If you knock on someone's door, or if you speak to them, it is making a difference. A lot of people who might have voted yes and think of voting SNP can be persuaded that we stand as Scottish patriots, but we also stand as people who want change, and we also stand as people who believe in social justice. And I personally believe, as someone who's a patriot, who believes in social justice, who believes in change, that we represent the majority view of the Scottish people, and it is not independence that the majority want. They want change and they want social justice, and we have got to show that we can give them that as well. But every minute on the doorstep is going to make a difference. These people who are yet to be persuaded need someone to talk to them. We've got to tell them what we'll do about poverty, about the health service, and about employment. We've got to say the others have had 5 years, whether it's the Tories or the Liberals or the SNP since 2010, to do something about these problems. But we can make a difference overnight. And the guy who can make a difference, elected to Parliament, into that Labour government, someone we can be proud of, please re-elect Tom Harris and work for him now. Thank you very much.
Can I have Tom's family, please?
Tom's family.
Tom's family.
I'm coming in a minute.
We're going to have you with 3 nurses, 2 retired, 1 current.